early game, and they were able to force their advantages so well on their opponent because of their draft and because of their play.
Yeah, they had some champion comfort, but the team style was much more passive than we've seen from CLG in the first 3 weeks.
Just a few kills to their name. They're going to chalk some up more, or chalk more up. Words are easy. As they come into the second game, we're in the ban phase with Immortals. Another 10 seconds left. It'll be interesting if we don't see that Aurelion Soul off the bat. It is kind of something CLG gets over on other teams as a first ban phase ban. But is it a first pick worthy ban? We'll have to see. Galio goes for Chronologic Gaming, and Immortals answer with their final.
And this is the most confusing thing about the Game 1 draft, again, for me, is I see Immortals banning Gragas, and I think, oh, that makes sense, because that's totally a champion that CLG would first pick. But Rek'Sai was banned by CLG, has received buffs. Everyone in the LCS has hundreds of games on Rek'Sai if you're a professional jungler from back when he was good. So everyone is already comfortable and confident on this pick, which has had some minor changes and buffs.
And I think that the changes and buffs, are something that work well with what Dardoch wants to do, right? He wants to be able to duel out. He wants to be able to be aggressive, to kill people, and some of these changes allow you to have that more aggressive style. With this now combat ultimate, this damaging ultimate that allows you to dive in and finish off some of the games.
Yeah, and immediately countered by the Elise. So now the jungle picks are making a lot more sense, whereas Elise fell through entirely, as Xmithie has been one of the best Elises. Also want to talk about the Thresh, because that's a high utility pick and one of Olleh's better ones. But now CLG gets to have the counter pick to their support. And where do they go? And
now, I mean, Tahm Kench could make a lot of sense, right? Now you bring him out after that pick has already been done. The interview was perfect from Aphromoo, and we'll see if he actually does get the advantage now because of this.
I love it. If you can hold your support, you're probably going to win.
Could be Caitlyn again, right?
Maybe that's the one he's been holding lately. Yeah, it could be the Caitlyn.
It should be Caitlyn.
So do I. I think that you force then your opponents to pick up their AD right away, but I'm not going to go with the Caitlyn. Going to look for Ashe. So this does give you some more engage, some more kind of utility out of that bot lane.
That's a good point. The for sure engage out of what we're seeing here. And something for Dardoch to follow up on.
And especially because, Jatt was talking about, this was not the super proactive start team fight style CLG. And when you use the Ashe, that can really help to start these team fights. That can really help to start things going.
Yeah, and this is more of a draft towards, I feel like, what a lot of the teams have found a bit more of their success on. Just like historically, Darshan's always been an early game. Sorry, Dardoch has always been a very strong early game jungler. And Flames Renekton has been absurd this year. So they locked that in early. They telegraphed their counter pick as being the mid laner. They will try and pick a marksman right after this second ban phase. And they're also now targeting the champs they want to avoid from CLG.
This is interesting to me, though, because there are certainly still some answers to the Renekton. While you can get bullied out early as Fiora, that is, in my opinion, a pretty heavily skilled matchup. And you definitely can outscale. So if Darshan wants to go back to something like a split push, Fiora is unbanned, and he would be able to go for that sort of a pick. They do, again, have some of these kind of side lane answers with the Tahm Kench to help him out, with the Rek'Sai to get in there, too. But that said, there's also some tanks on the table. You can go something like a Shen if you just want to look for more global play.
Kalista.
Boom. Yeah, they do not need to necessarily go Caitlyn. Kalista, Thresh have some insanely good built-in synergy.
The old pick.
And a lot of aggression in combination with this Elise. You can throw in the Thresh, you have the play hook combo, follow it up with point and click stun from the Renekton, point like the Cocoon rather, from the Elise as well. So you have a lot of CC and a lot of pick here.
Yeah, Immortals picking a ton of engage options as they did in Game 1. These are more single target focused, whereas a lot of their engage in Game 1 was team fight focused, but it still speaks to their ability to execute. If they execute with this, they can get many kills.
And now it's down to Darshan, and I think that his pick is going to decide so much of what style of game they want to play. If he does go with that Fiora, which I do think is a pretty good matchup, as long as you don't get bullied out very early, that's going to dictate the fact that they have to split push. They have to play these side lane styles, and that is going to be the answer here. So again, though, back to the split push. We're back to the same old story where you have to kind of get some time. You have to be able to build up to this point where you can dominate that Renekton.
Taliyah making it all the way through a second phase ban from Immortals last game. And it is going to be locked in for Pobelter here. A lot of lanes with kill potential coming into this game as Chronologic Gaming looks to get the game back over Immortals.
Yeah, and I actually think that Taliyah pick by Pobelter was influenced by Darshan's pick of Fiora, mainly because Taliyah is such a good champion against split pushers. very few mid laners can reach a side lane faster than a Taliyah, especially without having to take the summoner spell teleport, which is very dangerous to do against Ahri. So a lot of times I actually feel like teams ban Taliyah or control Taliyah if they're going to go with the split push strategy. CLG doesn't do that here, and now I feel like they're at the mercy of Pobelter's play.
And Immortals did ban out a champion that can do a similar thing, a Aurelion Soul, right? Someone who can join that side lane. So Ahri, while you can roam, it's not nearly as quick, and it's going to be more on Tahm Kench, on Aphromoo again, to be joining up with this split pusher to help him get those advantages, and Dardoch here as well.
Looking for that top spot. Immortals or Counter Logic Gaming. Zix and Song shake hands and they make their way off stage. We see the compositions much more well-rounded, if you will, here for Counter Logic Gaming to go all the way throughout the game. They don't have to wait for too much. They can start early or decide to wait. This is going to be a volatile one. Hashtag CLG win. Hashtag Immortals win in this civil war we have between Counter Logic Gaming and Immortals.
Yeah, looking at the way CLG wants this team composition to play out, is Rek'Sai needs to control the early game up against the Elise, which is easier said than done, but Rek'Sai has insane early power at level 3. And that should hopefully act as a bridge towards the late game where Fiora can dominate the 1v1 and potentially the 1v2. Because until that can happen, CLG will have a hard time actually getting an advantage with Darshan's Fiora.
We also are really going to have to track this bot lane 2v2 and the addition of those junglers. If Rek'Sai is trying to keep this Elise down, you have to look to the bot lane where Thresh provides incredible gank assist, super strong pre-6 all-in potential with this Kalista and Thresh, especially because they're bringing Ignite. So you can Lantern in the Elise, you can look for those ganks, and if they can get ahead, Kalista is certainly a champion that can snowball and take over games with this kind of semi-frontline AD carry style where you build tons of lifesteal up.
And I feel like that position of lanterning in, or getting a lantern into the fight, if you will, is easier from that red side. You're a little hug to your turret, you can get it over to the tri-brush instead of being out in lane and then hugging up to this wall towards river. It's a little more telegraphed, so that play going in the favor of Immortals here, as Olleh just brings out the frog.
He's showing the frog to Tahm Kench, man. I mean, he's got his child there. That's terrible.
Where'd it go? Well, that's, I didn't think of that.
That's dark. Yeah. It just went to a whole new level.
I mean, Thresh is pretty dark. He like holds Lucian's wife in his lantern and stuff. So this is already a pretty dark champion, and now it's getting personal between the supports.
Those inner-coded things we never knew about. See where they start here. There was a bit of a scuffle in the jungle as we saw in game 1. As they got onto Xmithie's jungle, he was able to come out pretty strong on it. And it looks like they won't give Dardoch any trouble. Things start off pretty calm.
Yeah, they don't do the same type of super pull that Immortals attempt to do for Xmithie last game, and I actually feel like they could have. If they don't get push in this bottom lane, I feel like it's a pretty big missed opportunity, but they would not give a pull because they really want to hit level 2 first against Thresh Kalista. If Thresh Kalista gets first level 2 on you, their kill pressure is absolutely insane. So I think that's what CLG is trying to do here, at least keeping the lanes very close so they don't immediately lose pressure in that bottom lane.
Who's going to get it? Oh, the damage already done. Stixxay looks like he could be able to solidify this for the team. As he starts priming the next few minions as well. Top lane is just a quick back and forth. Junglers won't be having any hand in the early level 2. And it's matched up in the bot lane as well. They actually look for that early level 2 or scuttle control here, straight up the river.
Yeah, and that hawk shot doesn't directly scout out Elise, but it can give you an indicator of where Elise will be. It sees the raptors and the red buff are clear, so they can assume that it is towards the blue buff area, which is why Aphromoo immediately goes toward the river, because he doesn't expect to see Elise down there that early based on the start.
Yep.
Hawk shot, much more utilized by pros than by anyone
They're
else.
actually looking to set up a dive here. Darshan has to push this in very quickly, and then Dardoch's going to go over the wall. Flame is low with no potions. He needs to probably flash the knock-up from Dardoch, or he will go down.
Low on Fury as well, so he's not going to get the full heal off of the champions he's fighting. The flash as well from Flame before he goes down.
Yeah, worst of the situations right there where he flashes and still gets knocked up at level 2.
Yeah, your only chance is really being able to get away from that knock-up, but if the Rek'Sai player is very intelligent, they just actually right-click on the champion instead of pressing their W to unburrow, and then you can't have that happen. Right. You will always land your knock-up.
Yeah, and a pretty ridiculous jungle route from Dardoch. Raptors red, blue side Scuttle Crab, gang top. That's one of the really hard things to predict, and by no means is it an efficient route, but it is an effective one early on in this game.
Almost needs to be started earlier with Xmithie having such a strong game last time. CLG needs to get off on a good foot.
And it's also enabled by the fact that Darshan was trading so aggressively.
Yep.
He pushed, got earlier level 2, zone flame off the wave, chunked him out, has forced those potions down. Like, you don't go for that gank if that's a full HP Renekton. So Darshan and Dardoch planning out this route and executing it very, very well. The kill did not go over to Fiora, so no advantage really for Darshan in the top lane yet off of this. It's got to be Dardoch who kind of cashes in there.
He's got 2 swords now, dual wield. Starts swinging away. It's like Olleh, Cody Sun back to the bot lane. No purchase for them, just getting the vision to keep each other safe. Looks like nobody's actually trying to grab too much brush control. Here goes Olleh. Yeah, I was going to say, though, it's right out in the middle of the wave. You have such a long way to fight if you do get an engage. It's just where does the trade go after that, and pretty much in favor of Immortals.
Now, this is just really well done. Even if you have Tahm Kench to eat up the Ashe after that hook lands, Olleh always lands in the flay. Kalista is getting this free trade while the Ashe is in Tahm Kench's belly, and now they're going for the all-in again. Oh.
Yeah, I feel like it was really well played up until that moment.
Yeah.
The Devour is up, and then it falls apart, but using that to try and create pressure in the jungle. Whoa, goes back in!
Oh! And they're gonna zero him out, that's the repel. Xmithie gets the, not first blood, but gets the kill first. And then goes down. A little retribution for Huhi there for his teammate. Orbit Deception will not hit and not give Huhi enough speed.
That was pretty sick.
Yeah, the flash direction dictates the mindset of the player more than any other player we've seen in the wild there. Dardoch easily could have flashed out of that, not get hit by the seismic shove, and it resets, but instead flashes in for the knock-up and quick knockback with the Rek'Sai changes. Huhi then flashes over the wall. They actually only end up trading kills, so probably not worth when all is said and done, but an awesome play to see.
And blue buff goes over to Huhi, so that is something to keep in mind that will make this play probably okay in the end. And he flashes in, definitely not what their opponents were expecting. Xmithie gonna get taken out. The blue buff was transferred from Dardoch to Xmithie, over to Huhi. So nice leash on that blue buff for Dardoch. Great job, got it on the mid laner.
Yeah, blue buff has a lot of friends so far in this game. Almost really slim margins in that fight as well. It looked like Xmithie repelled with about 10 health, then still got off the X. Now Huhi with level 6 before Pobelter going for play.
And Renekton is not 6. He doesn't have the ultimate to survive here.
Darshan goes in first, starts tanking, gets himself to the outside with a flash. And Flame kind of scratching his head as he goes down for the second time.
That parry is a little bit risky from Darshan. You actually can't parry turret shots, so sometimes you actually go for that parry and you're actually in turret range still. You get another shot and you die, speaking from experience, so.
Xmithie trying to save this turret by himself actually does. So really well played there by the Elise.
And they have to respect the fact that Pobelter had gone missing out of mid lane. So they're scared of that Taliyah ultimate coming up. You have no summoners on Darshan or Huhi, so that would be super bad in the 2v2. If Taliyah ulted up there, so I think it's a smart play from CLG.
There's that aggression. Stixxay and Aphromoo a little farther apart here. Don't even need to eat him up, so the continuous damage from Stixxay turns that one around a little bit without having to devour him through. 3-1 as CLG starts putting a little more kills on the board. It's more like CLG.
It does feel like a lane that has been dictated very heavily by the Immortals bot lane, though. And Cody Sun and Olleh have just been so steadily improving. To me, Olleh was already one of the best supports in the league last split. But Cody Sun had garnered a lot of criticism from the community, from other pros. Yep. But at this point, it's pretty much universally accepted that this guy is a top-level AD carry. He's been doing so well this split from Immortals and is a big part in their resurgence.
I think both of them kind of leveled up as well in that play. If Olleh's roaming, Cody Sun can still make plays in that lane by himself. And Olleh, as we said, making plays all over the map when he can.
And even listening to a lot of the interviews from this team, Olleh and Cody Sun share a pretty strong bond in that bottom lane. A lot of trust in each other, a very good relationship between the two, and that builds in the long term, which is a lot of what Immortals has talked about. Rather than finding the highest skill player immediately, they're trying to find the players that will work best, are most committed, and be the best long-term for their organization. And they must be really happy about the Xmithie trade, especially early on, as they now also have a shot-calling voice that they've been following to much success.
It's a cool organization as well for the fact that they prioritize a lot of their players' well-being and their players' happiness. Looking back to Huhi, one of their stars, who they released from contract to allow him to pursue other options and things like that. And a lot of people are saying, hey, is this the best option for your team? Giving up one of your star players, but Immortals is being rewarded through a very successful split, and they're very happy players.
Definitely a team that's ready to grow over long term. Ready to get that slow dime over the fast nickel. Things have calmed down a little bit here. 600 gold lead in favor of CLG off of what they've been able to work around the map. And here Immortals once again switching lanes and being the first to do it within this game.
Yeah, and going for a lot of team play here. This is what CLG tried to do last game, but CLG only roamed up one. They roamed up the AD carry. Now the Thresh is here. They were hoping Darshan would go aggressive off that play. Olleh did get spotted traveling between the brushes there. They still have, though, 4 people up here, and it's going to be incredibly difficult for CLG to match and save this turret.
Plus, Pobelter could actually ult up there, too, so this just has to be completely given up by CLG. This is very well done from them, and, you know, Darshan, despite the fact that Flame has gone down twice, you know, he has not really gotten any advantages here. It's actually probably going to be Flame who's up on gold, I would imagine, after the turret goes down.
Yeah, such good ward control as well, being able to get that roam off with even the Elise surprising them. And contrasting this to game 1, it shows how Immortals has actually won both sides of the same turret trade, where you take your bottom lane, send it up top, and try and get it. Game 1, they turned it around on CLG, took first turret bot lane. This game, they did the play themselves, also get first turret.
And now they're trying to actually defend on the bot side as well here from Flame.
I think they should be able to get out. Xmithie's left hanging on this one. Gotta watch after that Fate's call. They're gonna, they decide not to. Skips around, leapfrog on Dardoch. But the spider goes down, and they're gonna start bringing the rest of the brooms to swat away Immortals. This is them heading through the brush. Vision is denied from that pink, so they're gonna have to follow through into the darkness. Olleh, this is just kind of a creep away here. It's a walk down the beach. Is anybody gonna go down further in the fight? Cody Sun able to get a little bit of distance now. Darshan, he could rend him out. That's the bite, the devouring from Aphromoo to save his life. And going tit for tat, it's just love taps back and forth as they walk down the top side of the map.
And Flame is free up the bot side of the jungle. I mean, Flame is actually taking down this turret right now. CLG is so heavily committed to this because Flame TP'd away, but Immortals is able to disengage, and Flame is going to get a solo gold turret down here on the bot side. They're going to end up getting 2 turrets, and the Renekton is going to end up very ahead of Darshan now that he's up over 20 CS, and when he gets this local gold, he's going to be up, 800 or so gold.
Yeah, after investing so much to shut down Flame, the quick jungle route from Dardoch to get first blood, the level 6 roam by Huhi to get a second, and now Darshan is down 600 gold to the Renekton in the Fiora matchup. Again, strong team play by Immortals. I think CLG absolutely overchased in that fight. They nearly suffered fatalities as Cody Sun was stacking up the Rens on them on the retreat, and if it wasn't for the Krug waiting in the brush, Olleh would have hooked and gotten more kills for Immortals. So another good start to the game here by Immortals.
Cody Sun now soaking up top. This lane swap from Immortals as well. Kind of done at any given time. It's happened at different times of the game. And this one actually extends all the way into what happens here in the jungle.
This play starts up. Dardoch sees Flame TPing out of there. They know that he is gone, so they decide to fully commit to it. Ashe is even roaming up, and the play continues. Yeah,
very narrow miss by the charm from Huhi. That delays this fight a fair bit.
Watch this Ashe ult too.
This Ashe ult could have been so disastrous. The box then, though, slows everyone down, and from this point forward, Immortals kites out really well. Very hard to chase a Thresh with box and Flame.
Yeah, Olleh did such a good job actually disengaging Darshan. He was never able to proc a single vital, so he didn't get the speed boost to actually chase down, and he would have been able to get some of those kills had he even hit one.
Yeah, instant cleanse on the charm right there, but the Krug sitting in the brush. Taliyah ult comes through.
Like we have,
yeah, Immortals was starting up that Rift Herald. CLG is able to make them back off, but Aphromoo is actually holding it in combat. It looks like they want to try to challenge for this. It is very low.
Olleh looks like he's going to get soloed out here. They seem to be playing the waiting game, but with not enough power.
Aphromoo has still held this. They're still trying to take down this Rift Herald, and they're actually collapsing. They're rounding up Immortals.
He's baiting, too. He didn't even use hard skin.
They really want that Rift Herald.
So he still has a chance to do that. Chomps up Xmithie. Rift Herald is going to be taken down, I believe picked up as well. That was over to Dardoch.
What a way to deny the smite. Xmithie accepts his death. He decides he's going to go in to try to steal away the Rift Herald. Aphromoo just eats him up and says, nope.
Yeah, he's had good chances last time, but he had the Zanyas to make it work.
That's true.
If we're going to give Xmithie credit for his 6 steals, you also have to call him out when it just goes horribly wrong. 1v3 for a Rift Herald when there's the stacks of the Tahm Kench Devour sitting on you, not a good idea. That was a bit of a mistake there by Xmithie, but good secure by CLG.
Definitely a tough one. You know, it's hard to know. Can he actually get out even if he tries with Huhi wrapping around behind him? Olleh trying to peel very heavily for him and trying to keep them away, and they just turn it in games. You know, Stixxay has his ultimate up, Huhi does as well. They get the execution there, and Aphromoo very intelligently has held this Rift Herald the whole time. And now, you know, Xmithie has to make a decision because Ahri is behind him. I think he does not think he can get out here.
That could also be very true, but just no real chance for that steal. Nice eat by Aphromoo. Cody Sun runs out the backside, and overall just a level of greed from Immortals that we haven't seen that much of this year, costing them in that one as they couldn't really contest the Rift Herald. They were not as grouped up as CLG, but
it was pretty weird for CLG as well to kind of taunt and bait that one out. It seemed like it almost put Immortals into a bit of chaos to react. Here, nothing really going with their vision on the bot side, as CLG needs to clear this before they move a little further.
Dardoch is sneaking up in this brush. They're hoping to get a kill, then drop Rift Herald, but Olleh is here. Pobelter could ult down, and Xmithie is coming, so CLG may be biting off more than they can actually chew.
I like the cut. Oh, they actually go all the way back to Cody Sun. Gets the flash to heal out. He is safe. Tempered Fate back, but he's blown up, so Olleh just gets chucked out. What are they going to do to Dardoch? He's taking one more shot. Killed by Flame. He gets the cull and the slice and dice in with Dominus on. And nobody can touch the big croc at this point. They got to turn tide and head down towards the turrets. It's going to be a roam up from Xmithie. Looks like he's just going to grab Scuttle, and the team might go for Dragon.
Yeah, and it's about playing it smart right now. Track the cooldowns that have been used. Immortals did end up using a fair bit there, but they still have map control from that. The question is, will CLG concede the Cloud Drake? Looks like they will.
Big pressure top as well, getting pinged out there by CLG. They'll have to pay respects to that, so no contest here on the Drake, and they may have the inner line on the mid lane. Stixxay gets hit, so this is Immortals pressure here with Pobelter. Almost on the work ground with enough speed to trying to work that passive.
Very close. This is also kind of one of the criticisms I sometimes have about Darshan is while I think when you're playing a tank, playing for the team and sacrificing your lane and giving up farm is really worth it oftentimes. When you're on a Fiora, this is a greedy pick. You need to get farmed. You need to be fed. And you need to carry in the late game, and it gives up so much.
Oh, Xmithie comes up. Xmithie goes down. Just seeing him hit at Rift Herald. The team tries to go mid, and a nice shot from Stixxay saves the turret. And Xmithie needs to find another 20 seconds before he's back.
Yeah, second kill generated by that Ashe arrow from Stixxay, so in that way the pick is paying off pretty well, and it's going to be about Huhi right now. 5 kills on the Ahri is able to turn the tides of a lot of these things, because if they're going to split push with Darshan eventually, I actually think it's more about Huhi roaming and supporting that split push to create kills. Agree with Azael's point there, where Darshan should be actually split pushing more and getting more farm on himself. Even with that Ashe arrow, he left his lane to run towards Blue Buff in case a big fight broke out. Just create the pressure in the lane is something CLG actually was so good at about a year and a half ago, but haven't done as much of this split.
And it's interesting because it's a discussion that we had heard CLG talk about with Huhi, where sometimes they say, you know, Huhi played too much for the team. They had to tell him, no, play for yourself, be that greedy player, because you can make the difference later. And Darshan is sometimes falling into that trap a little bit too much. You know, on this Fiora, getting so much jungle focus to his lane, 116 CS at 17 minutes is not, you know, an impressive amount for professional play. It's while he's moving that because he's roaming, it's not like he's just missing CS. He's kind of allocating his resources and his time in a way that he cannot pick up as much farm as he otherwise would be able to.
So one of the things in the big picture of it for Counterlogic Gaming is that, well, all of these teams around the league make changes. They're usually one that's still able to sit at the top, despite the changes. Huhi and Huhi and Stixxay came in at the same time. That was 2 big losses in Pobelter and Doublelift at the time, but you're thinking this guy still comes back, they're still able to get a championship in the spring, and it's just a team that's been well-rounded. When do they find that power? When do they continue to escalate themselves? Because they have weeks where they pop off, and then weeks where you see this happen.
And that's the inconsistency that we've been talking about. Yeah. But this game from CLG certainly a lot closer than game number 1, where Immortals was very dominant. And CLG are going to have their chances in this game. And they also still are going to have this insurance policy of the Fiora in the late game if they can get there. Huhi's very strong right now, so they can keep playing around this Ahri and hoping that he can create picks.
Yeah, and CLG as a team have also kept Xmithie down much more in this game. Another aggressive play by Huhi, though, misses the charm.
Missile voyage forward, 3v1 situation. Pobelter finding himself hung out to dry here. There was a bit of a roam from Olleh to see if there was a lantern that could be used. doesn't really relieve too much pressure on the map. A kill picked up by CLG.
Also like the patience by Dardoch right there, not taking the kill when he could have, and instead giving it over to Huhi since they know he's going to be the ultimate carry if this game goes late. Whoa!
Oh, nice from Darshan.
Still eats a bunch of damage from the Elise. They're going to keep chasing.
Spiders, they're stopping.
That was actually so well from Darshan. It's not that easy to actually parry the stun from Renekton, and not only does he parry that, he reactively flashes away, then pop the ultimate to try to get a speed boost from a Vital. I don't think he actually procced that, but still, well played by Darshan to survive that gank.
See where the pressure goes now. Pobelter still coming out of base, going towards the bot side. Looks like he'll start to meet up with Huhi just a little bit more, and we'll see how teams take to this. It's not kind of having that Galio on the side lane this time. Immortals have to work it a little bit different. They don't have the liberty of keeping somebody in the side lane all the time if these TPs are down. The wall helps a bit, but they got to be more careful.
The wall certainly does help, but if it's Pobelter that's being attacked, if it is that global or semi-global that's being attacked, he cannot use it effectively, right? You know, because he's the one in the side lanes, and he wants to be the one that is kind of going to his team to meet up.
Yeah, and both of these teams actually want to play the same way. They want Renekton to overpower the Fiora, create side lane pressure, and then use that to get picks with Taliyah or any of the other champions because there's so much engaged on that side. And CLG's doing the same thing with similar suites of champions. So the game is very competitive right now, and a lot of it then comes down to vision denial, and just straight up execution. Again, I call to the vision control of Immortals, and we need to track how good that can be in this matchup. They have more Sightstone wards out of Olleh because he's upgraded to his Eye of the Equinox, whereas Aphromoo is still sitting on the 3 ward stack Sightstone. And then Dardoch has also gone with Chilling Smite once again, as it's a good item on Rek'Sai versus the Tracker's Knife on Xmithie. So the longer that CLG can match this without the vision game actually costing them, the more they're almost getting away with it because of the combat spells they've taken with Chilling Smite.
Definitely are. You can tell that they're not super confident right now in their vision game, though. You know, having used the Hawkshot to check a 20-minute Baron, having a little bit of worries that Immortals could be going for a rush like that. It's something you always have to take into consideration with Kalista, who is kind of the supreme objective secure champion, and that's someone that we haven't seen a lot in the LCS recently. So it's very easy to kind of forget about one of those strengths.
Wards are placed. The wards are cleared. It's the vision game. This could actually provide quite a fight, though, if you're not playing it correctly. CLG looks to be winning the top side of that vision, which makes things a little tougher for Flame in the long run. It doesn't look like he's too much trouble just yet.
Yeah, you always wonder when they're going to pull the trigger, but it's literally just soul laners battling it out in the side lanes. True 1-3-1 happening right now.
And Huhi forcing out the cleanse there is pretty big. He did not actually commit his ultimate. Now he does. Roaming up, using that ultimate to roam up, it looks like.
Diving down, there's the wall. They block off the right side. Dardoch immediately onto Pobelter. He can't get the damage in, and he's zeroed out. It's going to be Aphromoo going down next as Stixxay falls just behind him. Immortals had the jump on the fight, and it looks like they'll be able to chase this one out as well. Darshan, if he can find a target, if he can find the vitals, this turns around immediately, and it's flaming him 1v1. Huhi throws the orb in. Immortals now get control of the river and have a little bit more room to work with, but it's low health bars as they limp away, and CLG still feels like they can fight it. Losing Dardoch without the knock-up, it's just looking too scary to keep going.
And again, Darshan roams down, you know, when he could have just taken that tier 2 turret, could have gotten an advantage for himself, and he arrives, and hopefully for him is going to turn that fight, but he's not able to get anything done. He's spending his time and not getting that reward on a play that is essentially already over. You can have Huhi and Dardoch disengage while Darshan takes down the top turret while he gets a CS advantage so that you can then punish the Renekton later. And in this case, he gets no advantage on the side. We'll look to try to get this mid lane turret.
Yeah, I was, as they chase after Darshan and go for another kill, I was playing with the Fiora in solo queue the other day, and he kept trying to team fight, and he said, CC is dumb. And that's what it felt like for Darshan in that fight, because on almost anyone you feel like everyone's super low, you're going to run in and kill 4 people. But no, CC stops you, which is why he needs to actually split push in this game. Almost everyone on Immortals has a block for this Fiora in 5v5 fights, and no matter how patient Darshan is, they're going to have something cycling up to stop him in the extended fight.
And you know, the initial play, the TP is not matched by Darshan. He had that available, decides to actually roam down. And then if you're going to run all the way down with the minions at that turret, you're getting here too late.
Yeah, and here is, again, CLG's aggressive tendencies trying to turn. No longer do you get the multi-man knockup. It's one knockup with a knockback, but they still combo a lot of damage. And then look at Darshan, he jumps in, he procs one vital on Flame after getting his ultimate off, and then they still continue to chase because they think they have enough, but they have no flashes up. They're still going up against an Elise and a bunch of other CC that can be chained, and they overchase.
And chasing that choke is so difficult to do because Immortals can really hit those skill shots so easily. You know, dropping the box, playing people out, and now Aphromoo is going to get picked off probably.
Still has hard skin to be used. They go after the one.
Oh, this could be fair.
They take two down, Dardoch and Aphromoo. As Aphromoo just spawns, and now there's no smite for the Baron.
Immortals starting to take control of this game. 1,000 gold, this is a huge moment. No smite and a Kalista on the Immortals team. They can secure this. The question is, can CLG stop them from getting it low enough? Doesn't look like.
Does Darshan even want to go in? The waves semi in their favor. They just have to
they want to go.
Save this off. The smite and the Ren come through. Obviously, Cody Sun picks that up, and Xmithie, the rest of the team, run unscathed to the top side of the map.
Yeah, they're going to get a lot off this, and the question is, how much can they get with that Baron buff now? CLG at least will take down that mid lane turret. Darshan looking for Renekton on the top side, hoping that he can get that 1v1 duel, but Flame spotted him walking up across those wards and should be able to back off pretty easily.
Yeah, and the charm of the 6-0 Ahri has become less effective now with the QSS being completed on Cody Sun. That means he can then save Olleh from a charm. Pobelter has cleanse. Cody Sun can save himself. Fewer and fewer targets. Watching this pick one more time, it's just a really nice Taliyah wall as CLG is trying to set up the 1-3-1 again. CLG did not have the minion waves up. Immortals had not committed to the sidelines, yet their 3-4 squad was not in a position where they could disengage. Immortals pulls the trigger at just the right time and gets 2 kills.
Yeah, and when you take down the jungler, you know the Baron's probably gone, and it's tough to make these sorts of calls, you know, but should Huhi, after those first 2 got picked off, should he have just stayed a bot and tried to take down that turret? You know, leave your Ashe, try to take down the mid turret. No. Try to trade something back. You know, if you kind of commit to try to stopping the Baron, you cannot do that, then you lose out on both sides because you're not getting that side lane golden experience, and you're also not contesting the Baron, but those are hard choices to make because you're obviously hoping you can pull off a miracle play.
8 pink wards in the inventories of CLG right now. They just need the room to put them down, the room to be able to defend them. That's 8 times 75 right now. And they are trying to regain control of the map. Darshan's top with the double 2v1 situation already. Good Q damage from Xmithie. Waits on the cocoon if they need to use it under the turret. And CLG starts to use some of those wards as they get a little bit of room.
And nice patience by Immortals. They have to worry about Huhi coming over the wall. I like the controller by Huhi. Goes in right now.
Turret's low. He has to back off. Spirit Rush is still available, but it's not used to go in. They let those fizzle out, and the turret falls. Flame as well towards the top side of the map. Another turret. 2 at the same time is getting to be a consistent thing for Immortals.
Yeah, and Immortals, because of the gold advantage, is generally stronger in the 5v5 fights right now. Yeah. And as a split push team, when you fall behind like this, the stalling becomes very difficult, especially against a Baron buff, so making very good use of this Baron power play.
And Ahri does not have anywhere near the wave clear as like an Orianna or something like that. It's hard for her to delay against these Baron minions. You start to bleed a lot of objectives. That can get pretty tough. It's also a little bit interesting seeing Olleh here with a redemption on Thresh that heals for so little.
Oh, what a seismic jump coming in from Pobelter. A great repel from Xmithie to draw in the arrow, and Stixxay's down immediately. A lot of the damage is gone here, but Darshan comes in to deliver the rest as Huhi goes down. Darshan blinks, he breathes, and he almost dies in the same instance as Immortals chase him to the top side of the map, evening the kills at 10-10, but CLG's base is theirs.
That could be game. I mean, these are long death timers. They're knocking down the inhibitors. They have the minion wave. I think Immortals is about to end this series.
Immortals consistently playing around the situation and consistently finding the fights over CLG.
Aphromoo trying to delay the minion wave and wait for the respawns of Stixxay and Huhi, but it's still 5 on Stixxay, 15 on Huhi. Immortals is pushing for at least Nexus turrets.
Under 30 minutes coming into game 2, and it looks like Immortals in 2 games straight are going to be able to take down Counter Logic Gaming. 28 minutes in, the spawns are coming up here. Darshan in 7, but it's Stixxay just firing the arrows. Does he have enough in his quiver? They're pushed back to the fountain immediately by Flame as theirs is snuffed out. Immortals take it 2-0.
And just like that, it's over for Immortals now. 6 3-1 on the split, already taking down so many of the top North American LCS teams. Victories over Cloud9, TSM, and now CLG as Immortals top the standings.
And I think this is perhaps their most impressive series yet, both because of the difficulty of the opponent and because how cleanly they played. Game 1 was incredible for Immortals, extremely dominant, and Game 2, despite early advantages going over to CLG, Immortals stay calm, they're able to make the plays when it counts, and they're able to then close out a game in 28 minutes that looked like it was gonna go late.
And so much of Immortals' success this split is about team. The hype for this matchup coming in was who got the better of the trade. Dardoch, Xmithie, CLG, or Immortals. But in this game, Xmithie started 1-4. He wasn't having a good game, but in no way did it feel like Immortals allowed him to continue to be exploited. They continued to make plays. Everyone stepped up when they needed to, and they played so much better as a team. This game was decided because Immortals made it to the fight faster than CLG.
I think we really saw a team in the Herald fight. While we said Xmithie has good plays and he has bad, the team was also there. They were saying, yes, we're with you. Bad call or not, we're going to try to make this happen and steal that Herald.
And I think they played so well around the fact that there was a disadvantage on the top side. You know, Darshan did not cash in on any of these kills, but Flame died twice early. They rotate top side with their bot lane to be able to get some more gold on with that turret going down. Then they send him bot side. They're able to disengage while he gets a split push advantage. That was something that CLG and Darshan were never able to pull off. Darshan always was having to come to the team, group with them, and never getting side lane advantages. So Flame ended up ahead in gold and much more impactful despite being put behind very early.
Exactly, and there's two sides to the coin in the way these games are played out. Immortals grouped well and forced CLG into a lot of difficult decisions, and CLG never really set up the split push in the way we would want it to see. They were never willing to sacrifice a turret to get Darshan any type of advantage. Time and time again, we would see Darshan arriving very late to fights and then not being able to get pretty much any damage off in the game. I mean, the Fiora, 5,700 damage in a 28-minute game, less damage than every single player, including the Thresh on Immortals. Like, Darshan was not an impact in this game whatsoever, but that's because Immortals was forcing so aggressively, and CLG kind of needed the Fiora's help, and he just couldn't give it.
They did. It's such a great game by Immortals. For more on that win from them, let's check in with Freak and the Immortals jungler.
Thank you very much. I am joined here by Xmithie, reigning champion now 2-0, first place in North America. So talk to me coming into the matchup, did you expect this sort of a stomp of a 2-0 like this?
In the game, I don't think it was actually a stomp. It was like pretty close fight. It could have gone either way actually for a team fight. So yeah, like even if it was a 2-0, like I think it was still like well fought for my team.
So what do you think you did, either you individually or you as a team, that made it the 2-0? You said it was very close. What was some of the breaking points in your mind?
I guess like just this day, like everyone was thinking like pretty similar. So like I don't really have to like tell everyone where to go, or like they just know where to go. And yeah, it was pretty nice like playing this series especially.
Yeah, you played really well. I want to talk to you about playing CLG specifically. Of course, it's your old team. You've got two banners back there playing for them. Talk to me about what it meant going up against your old squad and then beating them at the end of it.
Well, I like to think every game like it's not really special, since like I feel like that's the best way for me to play like the best level for me. So I just try to think that even though it's CLG or TSM or Echo Fox or any other team, like I like to think they're all the same.
Well, talking about taking every team one at a time, taking them all the same, I want to talk to you about winning, because right now you're in first place. You beat one of the other first place teams. You got 3 teams back there with banners winning North American LCS, and you've beaten all these teams so far with Immortals. Is this going to be you with the next banner up there?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. That is the most direct "we hope we win North American LCS" I've ever heard from an interview. Little bit more strongly. How bad do you want to win this one?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Xmithie, ever the hype man. Thank you very much, man. Congratulations on the win. Let's toss it down to the analysts.
Thank you very much, Freak. Inspiring stuff, really.
Freak is so needy.
Hopefully,
come on, tell me you want it.
Hopefully, I will be one of the best 5 players in all of North America at the end of this split. Either way, a huge 2-0 victory out of Immortals here tonight. As Freak mentioned, they have now beaten TSM, CLG, and Cloud9, the only 3 organizations to ever host the North American Trophy. They've already unseated them here in the first round robin of play. But when related to this series specifically, Kobe, ask and you shall receive. I asked you what you wanted to see going into Game 2 from CLG, and you specifically had said, all right, let's go for a powerful pick in the top lane, supported by an aggressive early jungler who can make plays, and that's what we got.
Exactly. I mean, they picked up the new Rek'Sai here for Dardoch, and not only did he go for the earliest possible route with an experience quint for the classic now, Raptors Red Scuttle Crab. You know, it's on the opposite side, so it's a little bit more awkward, and you would expect it less. Coming into it, though, if you would look at the champion select, you're thinking Immortals are completely ready to handle any sort of top lane aggression. They've got Renekton and Elise, pretty much the best duo, bully duo you can think of. But CLG got out in front of it, and we're like, oh my goodness, you know, Dardoch's taking matters in their own hands. He's being proactive, and they're camping for
going to the top side as we had expected he might do in Game 1. Finally comes out here in Game 2. They get that early kill on the level 3 turret dive. As you mentioned, this will open up CLG to bring Huhi to the top lane a little bit later and capitalize on a second kill.
Exactly. Dardoch, this is after he just finished that scuttle. 3 camps up to the top side. Darshan is pushing the wave. He had already harassed down Flame. It makes it very, very simple. They don't even have to use one of their own flashes to pull it off. And then, as you mentioned,
that tunnel's still there, by the way.
Yeah, this is not that long until the second one comes. He's not even level 6 yet. Huhi comes up from the mid lane. He just hit level 6. And he's like, you know what? We're going to take this top lane strategy straight to the bank. It's all about split push Fiora, all about split push Fiora. But that plan only lasted them like 5 minutes.
I was going to say, that plan is the extent of blue that you see on the gold graph there. That tiny little advantage that CLG has in the beginning. Those kills amount to nothing if you don't have a handle on the macro game, which is where Immortals really shine in this game, getting the first 2 turrets completely unanswered.
Oh man, that was beautiful to watch because CLG got absolutely outplayed in the team play in this game. Immortals, as you said, they swap out of their lane that's getting camped in the 1 versus 1. They use that initiative to get the first turret gold. Then the teleport down bottom while CLG try and chase kills allows Flame to get another turret. So this team that's getting camped, the teams that's behind, this Renekton that's already been stifled is suddenly up 2 turrets, and this is global gold that they then are just so punchy with proactive move after proactive move, and it's absolutely, you know,
all
refreshing.
the work you've done has now been negated because the Renekton's caught up in gold as well as experience from having that free time in the side lanes. And then really the rest of the stories of the game was smart play out of Immortals as a team and Huhi as an individual trying his best to carry the squad. He had a great performance on Ahri even in the loss. We have to give him a nod for that.
Exactly. Huhi was getting pick after pick after pick here with the Ahri. Wasn't enough to get them much, though. I mean, their composition really did hinge around split push Fiora being a point of power, and then, you know, the Ashe arrows and the Ahri picking people off does come through, but the first step there, the key factor, never got to a point of power. Darshan, as Jatt was saying, barely any damage dealt because, you know, he's trying to split push and then halfway joins the team fight.
And that's the tough thing, right? Is because we can sit here and we can criticize CLG for the fact that Darshan keeps grouping, but at the same time, with how quickly and decisively Immortals was starting these fights, you can definitely see that they were in between a rock and a hard place from CLG's perspective in terms of, well, do we need Darshan to collapse just so that we don't lose the game here, as opposed to applying that side lane pressure?
It always is hard to play, you know, these pure split push compositions while you're behind because you feel that need to defend. And you feel that need, you're like, oh, the whole team is coming towards our mid turret. Everybody come, we have to defend this. But that's like, those are kind of the most basic of League of Legends instincts, right? You're like, no, don't take my stuff.
Right. I've got to protect it. But in hindsight, you know, hindsight being 2020, perhaps trades and getting Darshan, you know, added CS advantages and experience advantage would have netted them a more competitive game and perhaps even a victory in this case. Now, Olleh is going to be picking up player of the game. While a majority of Immortals wins, in my opinion, look like team wins, it's hard to ignore this guy on playmaking champions. So with the Thresh, having the ability to start the fights as well as peel pretty phenomenally in some of those chase down fights as well.
The hooks and the dark passages were both coming in key.
Now, it's been a very exciting split so far for Immortals. I've asked a couple other analysts at times what their, you know, kind of report card and assessment of this roster is so far. It was brought up by Azael that this is an organization that's always been very forward-facing about having the best interests of their players in mind, and we liken that to letting Reignover and Huhi go, and here they're finding success with a roster that I think a lot of people at face value would say doesn't look as good. You know, what is your assessment of this roster and maybe how far they can go here in this summer split?
I'm really, enthused to see the improvements in all of the players. You mentioned Flame. Just as an individual, even without, if you take out Xmithie's effects, for ganking top lane, he's playing better individually. Cody Sun and Olleh, their bottom lane, absolutely stepping up as well. And Pobelter got his confidence back. So it's just, I don't know. It's the feel-good story, right?
Right. They're an exciting squad, but look, we've seen in Immortals dominate in the regular season and struggle in the post. These guys still got a way to go to get to that postseason, and we've got more league coming your way in just a few minutes. Our next series has Echo Fox hitting the Rift versus Phoenix 1. Don't go anywhere.